Hey guys, so in this video we're going to compare the new legendary tactical shotgun to the pump and to the combat. We're also going to talk about the general shotgun meta and some of the other changes from patch 9.40. For some weird reason, Epic loves to completely change the weapon meta after I make a video on it. It's happened like 3 different times this season alone. I even said it would happen the last time I made an updated shotgun guide, and look where we're at. I swear there's an Epic employee that watches my videos and loves screwing with them by nerfing or vaulting certain weapons the next week. This time though, since Season 10 is right around the corner, there's literally no way they can change the game before that, or at least I hope there's not. So why not talk about all the new shotgun changes, because there really were a lot. Plus, I never covered the addition of the drum shotgun to the game. I'll throw some timestamps on the screen now for when I cover each shotgun. Feel free to skip ahead if you want, but if you want a more complete picture on the current shotgun meta, definitely watch the whole thing through. So let's start with the newest shotgun that's been added to Fortnite, the epic and legendary tactical shotguns. Yes, the new shotgun is just a purple and gold version of the tac shotgun we all know and hate using. However, it's actually pretty darn good. Looking at its stats, the epic tac does a maximum of 83 damage to the body, and the legendary does a maximum of 87. This is less than the pump's damage, which hits for 95 with the green one and 100 with the blue one, but it's more than the combat and the drum shotgun. Next, it shoots 1.5 times per second, so the same fire rate as the white, green, and blue tac. In comparison, the drum shotgun shoots 4 times per second, combat 1.7, and the pump 0.7. This all makes sense because the more base damage a shotgun has, the lower its fire rate should be. The only reason the drum shotgun shoots 4 times per second is because it does a maximum of 50 damage. With this new tac, its fire rate and base damage are both on the higher end, meaning it's definitely viable off those 2 stats alone. Here's the interesting part though. The new tac has a headshot multiplier of 2.25. That means a max damage headshot can do 196 damage with the gold version and 187 with the purple one. This is actually the highest headshot multiplier out of any of the shotguns, yet the blue pump is still the only shotgun that can 200 to 0 you. The last thing I want to mention stats wise is that it holds 8 shells, it has a reload speed of 5.4 and 5.1 seconds for the purple and gold versions respectively, and its structure damage is 58 and 60. Oh, and it has the same exact equip sound as the silenced sniper. Just listen. I guess Epic really is that lazy. Alright, enough with the stats. How good is it in game? The short answer is that it's a good shotgun. Its damage is very consistent and very consistently high. Part of that is because it has a smaller crosshair and spread than the normal tac. I was afraid the spread would be too big where it would be really hard to get a full pellet shot off. Luckily, it's not too big like the drum guns where it's impossible to hit all your pellets, and it's not too small like the combats where a lot of the time you'll miss completely and do no damage. I would prefer if it was a little smaller, but then it would be just like the pump. I also really like how it allows you to take another slot for utility instead of an SMG because it's a semi-auto shotgun. This is really important for arena and tournament matches where you want as much mobility and heals as possible. In that regard, it's similar to the combat, but you never get any sort of combat shotgun vibe or feeling when using it. To me, it felt like a heavily buffed blue tac, which is literally what it's supposed to be and what Epic was going for by making it a higher rarity variant. You want to use it just like you would a regular tac shotgun too. Close range is where it will shine and do the most damage. If you can hit a headshot and a body shot, then there's really nothing that can stop you except a 200 damage pump to the face. In box fighting situations, the new tac is not that bad, but it has a pretty slow draw speed which will hurt you when going for edit plays. Pulling out and shooting is just slightly slower than with the pump. Make sure that you're not using it like a combat shotgun though, and that you're not trying to chunk people from mid and long range. My last tip for using it is to take into account that its fire rate is slower than the combat shotguns. I've used the combat so much and I've been so used to its fire rate that when I started using this new shotgun, I would hold down my fire button and I actually had to wait for it to shoot, and it threw off my timing a lot. The crazy part is, it's only like an extra 0.2 of a second difference for each shot. That may not sound like a long time, but in game, you will really feel it and notice it compared to the combat and the drum shotguns. Now, let me answer the question you really came here for. Where does it stack up against the combat and the pump? The problem with the new tac isn't even the gun itself, it's the meta and the way Fortnite is. What I mean by that is that the new tac is really fair and balanced. It's good from up close, not bad from mid-range, it's got solid damage and a decent fire rate. It's just that the pump is better from up close and the combat is better from range, so there's never really a situation where the new tac shotgun is always better. And I'm saying this fully knowing the combat got nerfed again. For those of you who don't know, Epic made 2 big changes to the combat in patch 9.40. First, they reduced its headshot multiplier from 1.7 to 1.5. So with a max damage headshot, the blue combat can do 110 damage, the purple can do 116, and the gold can do 120. For a full pellet headshot with a shotgun, that's really not that good. This also means that now you can only 2-shot people with a gold combat if you hit a max headshot and a max body shot. The other thing they did was reduce how good it is from long range. The way fall off damage works in Fortnite is after a certain amount of tiles, which you can think of as floor pieces, your shotgun will start doing less damage until it literally does 0 and falls off completely. Epic nerfed its fall off damage range by making it drop off earlier. It starts falling off at 2.44 tiles, which is unchanged. Then the next big fall off used to be at 4.88 tiles and is now at 4.39. Then the big ones are from 9.77 tiles to 6.84 tiles, and finally 19.53 tiles to 11.72 tiles, which is where it does no damage. You can still hit people from pretty far away with the combat. Up to 12 tiles is pretty far, but you'll be doing a lot less damage now. I definitely felt these nerfs after just a couple of fights. If you don't get a clean headshot off, you're going to do like 50 damage instead of the usual 70 or 80 you'd get. Even when you do hit your shots, it will take a little longer to kill people, so fights will be more drawn out. You should notice the damage drop off nerf pretty quickly if you try to hit people from range like you used to. Before this patch, you could easily chunk someone gliding above you for like 30 to 40 damage each shot. Now it's a lot more fair, so you'll hit them for maybe like 10 damage from 7 or 8 tiles away instead. Despite everything I just said though, I still think the combat is the best shotgun in the game. It does have a higher skill cap now because you can only 2-shot people with a gold one, but I'm telling you, there's no better gun in the game than the combat if you can hit your shots. Its spread is so small and tight that if you can consistently get off max damage shots, you'll have no problems up close. It's also still way too strong from mid-range as a shotgun. I'm not sure why Epic wants it to be really good from mid-range, but as long as it's decent from mid-range and close range, it will be the best shotgun. We all gotta remember that its fire rate is insanely fast, it reloads 5 bullets every second, it completely removes the need for you to carry a mid-range weapon. Yes, the new tac can compete with it now from up close if you hit a nice headshot, but it's similar to the same argument for the pump. How many times are you going to hit a max damage headshot? Rarely, if ever. You want something that is consistently good and versatile, and that's what the combat is even after the nerfs. So the actual argument should be between the pump and the new tac. Me personally, I'd rather go with the pump and an SMG. Reason being is you're better off switching to your SMG after hitting a pump shot than just sitting there and waiting to shoot again with the tac. On top of that, the pump has the ability to do more max damage than the tac can. Other than snipers, the blue pump is the only gun in the game that can one-shot you. So if you're going to W-key people and play like a maniac, you want the most damage as quickly as possible. The new tac is not that bad if you can hit your shots, but the pump is just better up close. That's why the pump would be second on my list, only behind the combat. It's a little less consistent than the combat, mainly because its crosshair is bigger, but I found myself hitting higher damage shots with it than the new tac. Let's also not forget how good the pump is while box fighting. The pump is arguably better than the combat for box fighting situations depending on how you play it. I know FaZe Dubs and Sen Booga much prefer the pump, so after the combat nerfs, it might just be what you prefer. Overall, I like the new tac shotguns. They're not terrible, but they're not insanely strong. The perfect word to describe them would be balanced. Unfortunately, the combat, even after the nerfs, still remains unbalanced and the best shotgun in the game. The pump is a very close second, and depending on your playstyle and the situation, it may be better than the combat, but if I'm in a competitive match, I'm taking a combat over the pump and the new tack every single time. So, if this video helped you guys out, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. I'd love to hear what you all think about the new tack and the current state of shotguns. Let me know down below if you agree or disagree. Also, thank you to everyone using code Jarian. You guys have been flooding my DMs with pics of you using my code, so just know I love you all and I want you guys to keep doing it. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.
All sound production.